Is it on? There's all kinds of new things happening. They gave me this tiny mic. Forgot my name tag, so we fixed it. I got new glasses with a stronger prescription so I can see all of you guys. I've been hanging up at the Capitol for the past 4 months, so haven't been able to come here. It's a lot like 1 Million Cups. People are drinking coffee and making questionable decisions. But at least here I can wear jeans. So, welcome to 1 Million Cups. My name is Kayla, and I'm your MC today. Oh, and then I get to also advance the slide. Looky here. Let's get checked in. All right, so is this anybody's first time at 1 Million Cups? You're all alumni? Wonderful. All right, well then give yourselves a hand. I'm glad you're back. And now that your hands are free, get out your phone and check in on the app. Even if you're tuning in online somewhere, also make sure that you do the check-in so we can see who's with us, who is watching. We also want to thank our sponsors. Look at that, they pop up. This is my first time seeing this new little slideshow, too. This is so advanced. We want to thank all these folks for making 1 Million Cups possible. And what is possible? What are we doing here? What is 1 Million Cups? This is nice. Is that Century Gothic? It's a good one. I like it. We are a free weekly program that gives businesses the opportunity to come on stage, pitch their idea, talk about what they got going on. We just want to have a conversation, get some feedback, and we meet at 9 a.m. every Wednesday with coffees. Ultimately, our goal, we want to change the face of our startup community, connecting local entrepreneurs with 1 million cups of coffee. Where are we at now with how many cups is that? This is new too. That's 20? Okay, we have an estimate, it's 20. This is like that jelly bean game when you're in like 100 day of school and you're like, that's more than 100 jelly beans, you can't trick me. Okay, so we're gonna have our presenter come up, and then afterwards we're gonna do some Q&A stuff. So we want some audience participation. I'm told this is a microphone and not 20 cups of coffee, so you can ask your question that way. You can also go on Twitter, tweet us with #1MCND, or ask your questions online, and someone will shout them out for you. We wanna know what you think about what these people think. Okay, community announcements. Come on up. I see one. Do I advance the slide? I do, because I have this now. Who's this? There she is. That's not you? How about you guys just switch, and we'll see what you think it is.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to 1 Million Cups. My name is Lake Anani. I am Program Director at the North Dakota Women's Business Center. And I'm here to tell you about some events we have coming up this summer. So there's a couple of March business builders that have already passed. But June 8th, we've got personalized marketing. That is a free virtual event. Also, free virtual event is our Startup Questions Answered. That's just a lunchtime event where you can come learn more about our programs and have some access to business advisors who can answer some of your startup questions. We also have Core Women. That's a 2-part series on imposter syndrome. Dr. Rebecca Burson is going to be joining us from Minot. She's stationed on the base there. And then Ladies Night with the Larks is a new networking outreach effort that we are doing in partnership with our favorite local baseball team. So tickets for Core Women and the Larks event are online, ndwbc.com or Eventbrite. So check those out and join us.
That one?
Nope.
This one?
Yes. Well, thank you. Good morning, everyone.
1 or 2?
That one.
Okay.
Stop right there.
I'm gonna stop.
My name's Jordan Weichel, and I'm an entrepreneur from here in Bismarck. I just wanted to announce that myself, Matt Cleary, Christian Klausnitzer, we're putting on this networking happy hour event tomorrow, Thursday, April 29th, from 4 to 6 at the stadium in the lodge at the stadium side. So it's available to anyone 21 plus. We have some free drink tickets available, so show up early while they last. And then we encourage you to bring a guest. The idea is to get out of your comfort zone, meet new people, make some quality connections. So hope to see you there. I'll hang out afterwards if anybody has any questions. And then thanks to our sponsors, of course, Stadium in the Lodge and NBNH Media. Thank you.
Gonna go back to this one. All right, yeah. Biz Market is hiring. They need a part-time market manager for 8 hours a week. I've been there and it's pretty good stuff, so you guys should probably, if you got the time, check them out. Apply before April 30th, www.bizmarket.com. We know what that is, go with a friend. Yeah? That's you. I was gonna say, I don't know what that one is, but it looks fun.
It is going to be really fun.
Tell me about it.
All right, I will. So, Higher Orbits, I think we made the initial announcement 2 weeks ago. Since then, we've learned a lot more stuff. It's going to be on July 6th through 8th. It's going to be open to 8th graders through people that just graduated, so 8 through 12. And then what is it? This is a chance for students. Think about those kids that are always looking up at the stars or have aspirations to get into maybe a aerospace field or astronauts or just love STEM and STEM kind of stuff. For 3 days, they get to work side by side with an astronaut, and they learn all kinds of things, and it culminates in an experiment that they would propose gets flown into space and gets performed by astronauts. And the winning team, so Fargo's doing this and Bismarck's doing this year, and one of the teams from those two communities will have their experiment flown up to the International Space Station and performed by astronauts. So we are looking for two things. We are looking for kids that are stargazers or really excited about this to get enrolled, and we are also looking for anyone that would be interested in sponsorship, because it's kind of a unique opportunity, and the sponsorship levels are not too scary, and a lot of the sponsorship opportunities also come with some scholarships that you can award to kids so that they can come and participate. So anyway, you'll be hearing about us more and more, and then if you see the Capitol building on there, the part that is more tan, that's our mission patch for this mission, and that was designed by Ben Brick.
I kind of want to do this, and the bartender told me I could pass for a 7th grader last night, so. You can tell us about some lunches?
Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm Tyler DeMars. I'm with CTBA at the Idea Center, also part of our 1 Million Cups organizing team here. One thing we've started as we're all getting vaccinated, we have our friends from the Downtowners are back this morning. Let's hear it for these guys. Good to have you here. So as we're getting vaccinated, we're developing some herd immunity. We thought we'd want to provide more networking opportunities. So every last Wednesday of the month, we're meeting in the community room at the co-op. It's just part of our 1 Million Cups community that'll be there. Today we'll have our friends from Minot and the Good Talk Network will be joining us for lunch. So little extra opportunity to connect, to network. It's Taco Day at the co-op, so if for no other reason, you should be there for that. And yeah, come join us today at noon. Thank you.
I like the North Dakota comfort food idea at the Capitol last week. They had chicken bacon ranch Nefla hot dish one day. So I think they are literally scraping the bottom of some barrels. This looks better. Go to that. All right. I haven't heard a community announcement in person in so long, and there's so many things happening in the community. So I'm going to get more involved, you guys. I saw, this is one of the first times I've been outside my house, and I saw a bird fight on the way here. I don't know who won, but I'll check back with you. All right, I'm pretty sure the reason that they asked me back for this one is because our presenter's from Minot, I'm from Minot, and you can really only have so much talent, it has to match on the stage. And people from the Magic City, they just don't make it like us. So I think that's why. I think I saw that at the bottom of the email. But I'm going to hand it over now to the Good Talk Network. They do all kinds of things. There's comedy shows, there's podcasts, all kinds of fascinating things to do with your brain straight from the Magic City. We're going to bring up Jonah Lantto. Now it's the button?
Yeah, the button that's all worn out.
Worn off, yeah.
The high use button.
You got it.
Hello, everybody. I am Jonah Lantto. I'm the owner and founder of the Good Talk Network. I want to thank all of you for being here and sharing your time with me this morning. Thank you to 1MC and the organizers. You guys do a really excellent job with this whole event. So what is the Good Talk today? A lot different than what it was 4 years ago. Now I describe it as a production company invested in ideas and bringing them to life. It's a visionary enterprise and produces shows for people with curious minds and adventurous spirits. The Good Talk Network started in my basement a little over 4 years ago in November of 2016. That's me right there with world traveler James Ziegler. We're drinking Caduceus wine, very good. That's where it began, and it really began with a yes. And I didn't know it at the time, but that yes would be infectious, and it would be an atmosphere of yes created around the Good Talk Network. I was in between jobs. One job was ending, and it was going in a direction I didn't want to follow it. So I had this transitionary moment in my life. I had a little bit of money saved up, and I wanted to do something. And the choices in my mind were, well, I want to start a podcast, or I will get into the drone business and fly drones. I called up a good friend of mine, Chris Rubb, and I said, man, I got this money. I want to invest in some podcast equipment. Let's start a podcast. Will you be my co-host? And he said yes. That was a very important moment because had he not, I might not be here today. I might be flying drones. I might be selling cars. But he said yes. We began the Good Talk. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I was so naive. Our first episode doesn't even have an intro. It just fires up with the two of us talking. And I began with very small, attainable goals. We wanted 10 people to listen to our podcast. That was it. And when we released it, I put it out there, a lot more than 10 people listened, and it was amazing. One good friend of mine, I asked, would you listen to this and give it a review? Give me a really thorough analysis, your collegiate analysis of this first episode. And she said, yes, I'll do that for you. And she gave me a very fair, critical analysis of that first episode that would help shape the direction of what we would aim to do. I set other small, attainable goals. Let's get our first guest. Let's get our first national guest. Let's not just record our podcast and deliver it in audio form. Let's get it so it's live. Let's get to HD. All of these things were small, attainable goals that I had laid out in the beginning. 3 months into the podcast, my partner, Chris Rubb, he had to leave. He had a big job opportunity in Fargo, and there's no money in podcasting, at least not in the beginning. That's not why you should start a podcast, because you think you're going to make money. I didn't know if I was going to make money, and I didn't make money for quite some time. So he leaves to go get a new job. Well, what do? I got to drive this podcast forward. And I call up friends of mine. I said, look, I'm going to need some temporary co-hosts. I've got some ideas working. And they said yes, and they stepped in. They helped me out. I was talking about the podcast in a coffee shop in Wynot with a friend of mine, Justin Martin, and overheard in the small coffee room was my discussion about this podcast by a man, Josh Walsky, heard me talking about my podcast, and he sent me a message on Facebook. He said, man, not to be a creep, but coffee shops are small, and I couldn't help it over here. About your podcast, it sounds really cool. And I listened to the first episode, and in the beginning, when we didn't have an intro, the best thing I could think of was, let's just start every show with a quote from our favorite movie, The Big Lebowski. And Josh said, I really like The Big Lebowski. I've got an idea for you. Do you want to meet for coffee or a beer? Well, I said yes, and I opted for the beer, and I met Josh, and he pitched the idea to me about bringing the podcast and doing a locally emphasized show. I said, yeah, that sounds great. The whole concept for the Good Talk Network, beyond just the meaningful and perspective-filled conversations I wanted to have with other people, was the idea that it could be a network, that it could inhabit many ideas. It's not just this one thing of me having the conversations that I want to have about time travel and would I rather be a shark or a bird, but I could really even have awesome conversations with the nonprofit community, help them represent their ideas. And so I developed one of the first very key partnerships in the history of the Good Talk with Josh Walsky. We began Good Talk Minot. And from there, this is still in my basement, and we're moving rapidly through the first year of the show, but it was a massive leap forward. About a year after that, we were no longer just an audio podcast, we were a video podcast. It was a live Facebook show. We weren't doing just one show, we were doing 2 shows. A few local businesses had jumped on board, said, wow, we really love what you're doing, how can we support you? Then we had sponsorship, so there was a little bit of money coming into it. Very big steps forward. And as we kept having really cool guests, like it was, I had no idea really about the nonprofit sector, what they do for a community, and we kind of became the champions for nonprofits in our area, and that was a really special aspect. That was a really key partnership that developed. Last weekend, Good Night Live, one of the shows that we've come to produce in Minot, that's our late night comedy talk show, we helped our local animal shelter, our team helped them raise a record-setting $126,000 for our animal shelter. And that all comes from the partnerships. The executive director of the current animal shelter, Shelby Waters, she was a guest on this show in my basement. This show in my basement became a relevant pillar of our community, so much so that our current mayor, Sean Sitma, announced his mayoral candidacy on Good Talk Minot in my basement. They had to go into, past my washer and dryer, past my barking dogs. And it was so wild to me. I've got sheriffs and university presidents and just amazing, intelligent, relevant, incredible people who found it worth their time to seek my house out and come into this basement right here. So we continue to embrace new ideas, and these are just a handful of the different shows that we've produced over the years on the Good Talk Network. We did a Game of Thrones cast. We've produced more than a dozen unique podcasts. Not all of them are active anymore. That was the thing about embracing new ideas, was there's this stage that you don't know what's going to work. I knew for sure, okay, Good Talk Minot works. I want to have these community conversations. I knew the big idea concepts work. Like, I want to talk about poverty and war and these things that impact society. But I also wanted to have some fun. Convince me otherwise. It was the fan versus the critic. We just had silly arguments about different things. Midwest Murder, of course, a big reason why I'm here today. Midwest Murder is on tour. I have a podcast that is on tour. I never would have dreamed it, but yet here I am. Good Night Live, that's our late night comedy talk show. So all of these different, the nonprofit talk, I'm not even on that show. That's one I've come to produce. So from moving from a show host to a production company, that was the process of embracing new ideas and pushing forward. And I could fill this with a lot more, but here for Midwest Murder, this is a skill I didn't have when I began this. I never would have imagined I could make these cool movie poster graphics for our Midwest Murder podcast. These are just a few of those. So what is the Good Talk? What are we going to do? Where are we going to go next? Well, content creation will always be at the heart of what we do. From starting the audio podcast, we have now produced more than half a dozen short films, 9 sold-out late-night comedy shows, over a dozen podcasts. I've had more than 300 unique guests on my show that include people who have escaped from cults, Dr. Mark Lehner, the world's foremost Egyptologist, Olympic gold medalists, authors, professors, historians, people who are very relevant in their career fields. And it's a great honor to have shared conversations with so many people. I've learned so much, more than I can share in the time that I have on this stage today, but it's been really amazing. So what are we going to do next? It's already happening. We're already doing what we're doing next. It's growing the strength of the Good Talk Network brands through the power of live events. Midwest Murder's on tour. Several of our performances are sold out. We only hope to continue to grow that success. We produced late night talk show, Good Night Live, and quite frankly, we're capable of producing almost any type of cool live event that somebody would want to make happen. So that's the idea, is that's bringing them to life for other people. The animal shelter came to us. They said, well, we need a neat video. We want to get people to donate money to feed our animals. That was all they gave us. And I wish I could share that with you. Those will be available online to see, but They were blown away by it, and the videos that we made for them helped raise $10,000 for the animal shelter just last week. And those are timeless. Those will continue to cycle for our animal shelter for years to come. They expect to make more than $100,000 off the 4 videos that we made for their charity organization. That's what we want to keep doing. I would like to move into a larger studio, so it started in my basement. In April of 2019, I moved it out of the basement to a professional studio in North Minot. I got some equipment approvals. That was one of the other key partnerships, a man by the name of Adam Dias. My skills had reached a technical plateau, but I wanted to grow. What do? I know what I'm good at. I'm good at the content creation, at writing, at having conversations with people. I don't have time to learn how to run the Adobe suite. I can't do that. I don't know how to get behind the camera and actually make my writing look like excellent cinematography. That required new partnerships. That's where Adam Dias came in, a very key member of the Good Talk Network. What else are we doing? We hope to have the return of popular podcasts. Our Game of Thrones cast was one of the top 10 podcasts in the nation when Game of Thrones was out, and now, well, we'll get to bring that back next year when Game of Thrones comes back. Very excited for that. We've got a new version of Good Talk Minot coming, as well as other ideas on the horizon, and we expect to make more short films and skits. That's some of the most fun things that we enjoy doing at the Good Talk Network. Again, not something I imagined I would be doing when I started an audio podcast with my buddy talking about robot beer trucks in 2016. So, having invested in ideas and partnerships, I'd like to take the last few minutes I have on stage before the Q&A to introduce 2 people who are very important to me at the Good Talk, who not only believed in themselves, but believed in me to bring their ideas to the Good Talk stage and to the Good Talk brand. So, first, my co-host of Midwest Murder, Dawn Columbo. Dawn, come on up. Yep, grab one of those guys right there, and maybe just head on that way.
Hi, my name is Dawn Columbo. As Jonah introduced me, I'm his co-host with Midwest Murder, and I've been in your basement many times on a different podcast that I was a part of quite a few years ago. So it's been fun to grow with Jonah and to see the growth in myself as well. So I'm from Minot. Known Jonah quite a few years now, I guess you can say, a few maybe.
I didn't know Dawn prior to her bringing the idea of having a late night talk show talking. She wanted to drink wine and talk about life with her friend Eric Hansen of the Urban Winery, and it was called After the First Glass, and that was a show I produced in my basement at the Good Talk, and that's how I met Dawn.
Right. Yeah, and I got to know your dogs as, after we'd shared probably 2 bottles of wine. And,
or too many.
Or too many, and tripping up the stairs, waiting for a lift. But it's like, well, that one went well. So it was fun, and that's how we got to know each other. And then the ideas and growth that came from Midwest Murder have been a lot of fun. And by day I'm an insurance agent in Minot, and I guess by every other Tuesday it's when we record, I'm a podcast co-host, and now living the rock star life on tour. Who'd have guessed? So it's been a really, really fun opportunity, and I'm so proud to be a part of the Good Talk Network and to be right by this guy's side with our super fun podcast.
Thanks,
well, not
Dawn.
super fun. I shouldn't say super fun. Maybe that's not the right description. It's about murder, but yes.
The other person I'd like to introduce today is someone else who brought their idea to the Good Talk Network. This is somebody who has inspired me to greater heights, who forces me to be better at what I am doing, and has helped me create things that have already achieved the goals that we set out in the beginning, and we're only going to take over the world from here, or at least our little slice of the world here in Minot, North Dakota. So this is Dr. ShaunAnne Tangney. She is a partner at the Good Talk Network, one of our lead writers, and she's a researcher and writer on Midwest Murder. Thank you, ShaunAnne.
Good morning, everybody. Jonah, thank you for that lovely introduction right into the light. Okay. I came to working with Jonah, being Jonah's partner, because I retired from teaching. I was an English professor at Minot State for 20 years, and I retired rather earlier than I expected to, and found myself with time on my hands, and I came to him with a proposal of doing some sort of Garrison Keillor storytelling type stuff, and and he said yes, and that's been the watchword. That's been our working deal ever since then. I am proud and honored of the work that we've done. I think I'd been doing essays for about 3 months when Jonah pulled me aside in the hallway and said, there's these couple of guys who want to do a late night talk show. Do you want to write for that? I'm like, yes, I do. He said, have you ever done that? And I don't know if I said no because I had never done that. I just wanted to do it so badly. So yeah, we've come together on a lot of projects. I've been able to co-host Good Talk with him. I had a podcast for a while that's on hiatus now. We will bring something back in that fashion. And doing the writing for The Murder is really fascinating and interesting. And the one thing that I would say about our brand is that is our watchword. We say yes. You want us to do something, we will figure out how to do it. So thank you for having us here this morning.
Thank you, ShaunAnne. So, these are just a few of the people that inspire me who brought their stuff to work. I got to say, just one last pivotal moment was something else I said yes to, and I thought it was so stupid, was to be in a networking group. It really was. It was in the first 6 months of me doing the Good Talk, and I had this friend who started a networking group that just come check it out. I was like, God, that's so lame. I can't do it. It's going to be awkward. But really, in joining that networking group, it was the first time I was forced to hone the pitch of my business. It helped me understand my business better. And I met Jake Throwkill, another very important key figure who brought their idea to the Good Talk Network. Jake Throwkill is the host of Good Night Live. It's his name on the marquee. It's not the Good Night Live with Jonah Lantto. It's the Good Night Live with Jake Throwkill, as produced by Jonah Lantto and the Good Talk Network. So that was very key to me, and something else that I just said yes to that I wasn't comfortable with. So the other aspect of saying yes is knowing that sometimes it's going to be uncomfortable, and you got to hop in and take that ride. Thank you.
Okie dokie. Yeah, we're going to pull the chairs down because we're not on trial. Unless you want to be.
You got yours?
Not today. Okay, so
I'm going to give you the power
Thank
back.
you. I know, it's too much for one
the
person.
lightsaber of this stage.
Yeah. All right, so if you have any questions, raise your hand. Kate's our mug runner. You see what I did there? And otherwise, you can hashtag 1MCND on Twitter and your questions. We'll get them out here. So I just want to say I'm on stage with a few celebrities. Dr. Tangney was actually one of my professors at Minot State, Go Beavers, and my advisor, and I'm still kind of nervous because I want her to think I'm talented. But probably one of the reasons I'm a freelance writer now, so yeah. And
we know you are very talented, doll.
Okay. I got to take that imposter syndrome class you guys talked about. And then I was on the Good Talk when I was in my humanities days. I sat in your basement, and I think we talked about Charlie's Diner for a little bit, probably more than humanities, which, same thing. So I want to know kind of a lot of the work you guys are doing, you definitely have this local emphasis, and especially thinking in North Dakota where, everybody's like, there's nothing to do, like creating all the content you guys are putting out there. What do you think is the importance of telling stories from our region?
That's a great question. I think, as you said, North Dakota is considered such a flyover state, and that doesn't mean we're not worth looking at. It doesn't mean we're not worth stopping in. And I think that great ideas can come from anywhere, that it's not from the coastal inward. I guess I grew up and it was like, oh, yeah, they had that in California 5 years ago. I remember hearing stuff like that, and it was always silly nonsense to me. And we can do everything they can do right here. And that was one of the key components of Good Night Live for us is we felt late night talk shows don't really represent the Midwest. They don't know us. They really don't. And for us making Good Night Live and giving a late night talk show some Midwest flavor, that was key to us.
If I could just add, and Kayla may remember this from taking a billion classes for me, but I was very involved in place studies, and what I know from that is the place that you live is only as good as you make it. And that sounds really corny and really simple, but it's really true. And you can complain about it. And I moved to North Dakota from the coast. I grew up in California. And I spent some time complaining about there's nothing here. And then I thought, well, you're a smart girl. Why don't you make some stuff here? And so, yeah, it's as good as you make it. It can be anything you want it to be.
We got one.
Yeah, thanks for presenting today, you guys. I just have a question. How did you guys come up with the Midwest Murder Mystery? You guys are on tour. Can you kind of talk through concept to, okay, now we're on tour. How did that come about for you guys? It sounds like you guys aren't scared to say yes to opportunities, but how did that come about for y'all?
Well, I think we're still dreaming, honestly. Like, this is so crazy that like you said, we're on tour. So Jonah and I were celebrating another friend of ours who had just wrapped up his podcast, actually is a co-host of Nonprofit Talk. And so this was about, 18 months ago maybe now, and we were celebrating. I was having wine, you were having a beer, and I think we got on the subject of true crime, and we both kind of said we'd always want to do one. That would be great. So, we kind of explored it a little bit, and then he had another guest on, CJ Wynn. She helped us with our intro, so obviously thanks to her. And that was about a year later, and we hit the ground running. And it's like, okay, we're gonna do this. And so it took about a year, but there was some downtime in there, and then we just started digging into cases, and we kind of, like Jonah kind of talked about earlier, we set some attainable goals, right? And then we went through our outline, kind of what we wanted to do. What if you've listened to the podcast, you know that I hop on the soapbox of victims all the time, and Jonah and ShaunAnne are probably overhearing it, but it's a big one for me. So I wanted those points in our outline. Jonah had some things, and somehow it just worked out. So we get most of our research. The majority of our research is from case files and court documents, and so that was also one of those things where we wanted it to be true, not speculation, not it's true if it's on the internet, right? So we didn't want those things, and it hit the ground running, and to amazing response from listeners, fans, local people. I mean, people in numerous countries, just out of nowhere. So it's been really cool. I'm sure I missed some stuff there, Jonah, but go for it.
Dawn, most of the points, real quickly. CJ Wynn, author of Wilder Intentions, a true crime author. So about a year after Dawn and I met, she was a guest on the Good Talk, and it just really rekindled that idea. We need to come back and do a true crime podcast. I think it's important to point out, I didn't start with the true crime podcast. It's almost a cliche in the podcast industry because it's so popular. I don't believe Midwest Murder would have brought us here today if I would have began the Good Talk with Midwest Murder. So it's all about developing your skill sets. And even at the onset of Midwest Murder, I knew I wanted to work with other researchers. I've never researched anything to the level that requires for Midwest Murder. It's something that ShaunAnne really pushes me deeper to, but requesting those court files and investigation files, and really working to make sure that everything that we present is based in fact. We're not speculating. We want these to be real, and we want them to be respectful. So that was it. And taking your podcast on tour, not a new idea. Other podcasts were doing it. When we saw the growth for Midwest Murder, as it continued to grow, we had a little pilot concept. Let's do one live in Minot, see how it goes. Oh, that went great. Let's do another one, see how that goes. Wow, that one sold out too. Wow, our numbers are growing. It's exponential. Well, let's just give it a try. People in North Dakota like us. Let's book a few dates. And here we are.
Good morning. My name is Joel. Jonah, this question is for you. So podcasting, to me, whenever I listen, I feel like the people speaking, interviewing, being interviewed are performing. It's a performing art in some sense. So what have you learned personally as you listen to these episodes, you listen to yourself talk? What are some things that you've developed or gotten better at in terms of communicating and asking direct questions, being a good listener, however you want to answer that?
There's a few things there. Don't question stack. So when you're interviewing somebody, ask them one question, not three. So oftentimes, don't answer your own question before your guest has the opportunity to ask that question. Listen for the redundant questions. So many people that do a lot of interviews, if you're interviewing someone, chances are you're not the first person to interview them. What are you going to do in your conversation with them to not allow it to be a redundancy, to not allow them to fall into the autopilot, I'm in an interview paradigm? And that was really key to me. And so in the beginning, I came up with this concept of the Good Talk 5, and I would always have these really 5 unique, off-brand, off-the-wall, really cool questions, and everybody would get one of those Good Talk 5. I think that really helped me develop as an interviewer. Something else I do in Minot, a MagicCon, I facilitate their panels, and they bring in some pretty big stars. A MagicCon is the Comic-Con in Minot, North Dakota. This last weekend, they had Johnny Youngbosch, one of the Power Rangers, and Serena Vincent, pretty famous actress, not another teen movie, a lot of other stuff. A landmark moment for me as an interviewer occurred just this last weekend, in so many years of doing it. In my discussion with them, I got them to a place of organic, comfortable vulnerability in which they both shared things in an interview they've never shared before. And that, wow, as an interviewer, that's like a you made it moment. So it comes with a little bit of research. It comes with really listening to your guest and reflecting on them. I have a naturally inquisitive nature, so I appreciate people with intelligence that I do not have, and I am really eager to learn it and to ask them questions and to have it explained to me. And that really works too, is that passion for understanding the intelligence and knowledge that you have.
Kayla, I have a question.
Ask it.
Well, yeah, okay. I have a comment and then a question. First, you really look like John Oliver. It's weirding me out a little bit. Doesn't he look like John Oliver? Anybody?
I'll take it.
All
I
right.
never noticed that, and now I can't unsee it.
You'll never unsee
Wow.
it. It seems like you're either into podcasts or you're not. Doesn't seem to be a lot of like the middle ground people. You know, they either like love them and consume them, or they're like, oh, I'm not really into podcasts. Couple of my faves, Binge Mode. If you've ever listened to Binge Mode, Harry Potter, or anything like that, or can I say this, Kayla? My Dad Wrote a Porno is another great podcast. They've done an HBO special. It's fantastic. They've done worldwide tours. So I'm curious, what podcasts do you guys listen to that are not ones that you're producing or writing for and stuff like that? What suggestions for good podcasts are out there, and they don't have to be pornography?
Real. My 4 favorite podcasts: Snacks Daily. I listen to it every single day. I highly encourage everybody to check it out. Awesome. I listen to NPR's Up First every day. So those 2 happen every day. I like to Consider This from NPR as well. I don't always hit that one. Other than that, The Dollop, to a degree, The Dollop did inform a little bit of how Dawn and I wanted to present Midwest Murder, in that The Dollop is a comedy-based history podcast, and we're not comedy whatsoever, but there's one guy is presenting the story and the other guy is kind of responding to it. And so when Dawn and I do Midwest Murder, one of us is presenting and the other one is responding in each given episode. And so that kind of did inform a little bit of our format in Midwest Murder. So Snacks Daily, Up First, The Dollop, and the Joe Rogan Experience podcast.
I spend a lot of time listening to my satellite radio, and I listen to the PRX channel, the Public Radio Exchange channel, which brings together a lot of different full-length podcasts with these amazing little short stories and tiny little personal journeys that they take you on. And I really like that better than any individual podcast that I could maybe name. I like that blend of things, and I think that actually really informs my work on the Good Talk, in that we have these different kinds of things that we do. Yes, there are several podcasts, but they're all different in nature. Anything I bring to Jonah, can we do this? Can we broadcast? Yes, we can do that. Yeah, we can do that. So that, the storytelling stuff. The Good Night is a television show, So I really highly recommend the whole PRX experience, like just all day of listening to all those little journeys that they take you on that channel. I like it a lot.
I am a new listener, thanks to this morning of Snacks Daily. That's super fun. But up first, I'm a big NPR nerd. It's boring, dry, just the facts. I love it. I get to make my own opinion. Those things. So I do love any NPR stuff. I also listen to Small Town Murder. That's a good one. They are comedians and talking about murder, so they get a lot of hate mail because it sounds like you're making fun of the victims, and they're not. They have a disclaimer every episode because people get up in arms, but they're funny, but then they also deliver the information. So I really like that one, but mainly NPR stuff.
Wait, don't tell me. Also awesome. I've only gotten Kayla and Ann Cleary to listen to My Dad Wrote a Porno. So if anybody else would do it,
It's a great one. I love it. Yeah, I love it.
Maybe just talk a little bit about your listener demographic, how that's maybe changed, evolved, grown, and then maybe what you're looking for going forward. Are you looking at just more of the same demographic, just maybe a little deeper, or some breadth?
Interesting. Frankly, I don't focus a lot on the demographic because so many of the different projects that we produce are going to appeal to a different demographic, and never has the creative consideration for anything I've made been who is going to listen to this. Who am I? I understand everything has like a different group of people. True crime is definitely more women listen to true crime than men. When we did the football show, we had a lot of teachers and things like that. So I don't have a primary demographic that we are driving toward. However, the numbers are we are predominantly listened to by people between the ages of 25 and 44. That is about 76% of our listeners come between that 20-year period. And I don't know truly what that says about them or us, but that's the demo that is most appealed by everything the Good Talk Network has produced to this point. So geographically, about 2/3 of our listener base is in the tri-state area, and then we grow out from there.
So I was wondering, you started in a basement, you've grown a lot. Does part of you miss being in the basement? Also, what did you think of the last season of Game of Thrones?
I do miss the basement only to a degree. It was really colorful, and I had pop vinyls everywhere, and my cool art was all over the walls, and it was just neat. We drank more beer in the basement for sure. So it was a lot of fun. The last season of Game of Thrones, I loved it more than not. It can't undo the great memories and times and brilliant moments of season 7. We got together for viewing parties each and every week for every episode and those closing episodes. And people can reflect back on, it didn't do this or it didn't do that. But in all those big moments, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen by now, sorry, you're going to get a Game of Thrones thing spoiled for you, so cover your ears. But when Arya jumps out and kills the Night King, our entire watch party exploded in cheers. There's 20 people in there freaking out. So the emotions were high. Nobody likes to see a good thing come to an end. And I don't, they could have kept going forever. As creators, you don't always want to do the same thing forever and ever. So it's a hard give and take. It could have been better. It could have been worse.
Jonah, if you really want to stir the pot this morning, who's your favorite character on Game of Thrones?
Cersei Lannister. By far my favorite character in Game of Thrones.
I think I want to be one of the first guests on your Game of Thrones cast, just so I can fight that one to the death.
Fighting to the death is kind of a game.
Yeah, we love strong Game of Thrones opinions. It's great.
A couple of us were on a what do you call that? Beanbag thing, and we were Game of Throws.
Nice.
I was obviously not a very good contributing member. Okay.
Clearly an English major.
Question I have, so it's fantastic to see just the attitude of yes and all the opportunities that's brought for good talk and you folks on stage. As you continue building out all this content, you have a lot going on now, right? So have you thought about how you're going to prioritize projects, and eventually you might have to say no to some things just because of bandwidth? So have you thought about what kind of content and what kind of projects you want to prioritize going forward?
Yes, we are at a point where the idea stage. So all these shows that we produced were kind of an all opportunities to identify what is going to work for us. We did the sports show, we did a morning show, the community show, a pop culture show, and so we have identified several paths that we think are best suited to us. But people are still bringing me ideas. There's a guy who's super talented. I've got a meeting with him next week, and he really wanted this week. I said, look, I'm too busy right now, and I want to give this idea the attention it deserves. It's a great question. I am getting to a point that is reaching max bandwidth, and I think when you're starting a new business, especially something like this, you're more open to do things that might not have the financial compensation that you feel like you are worth. I've gotten to a point now where I know what my worth is, and I know what my time is worth, and it's a lot different than what it was a year and a half into the Good Talk when we were still trying things. It's a lot different than it was even 2.5 years in, or just a year ago. So I don't want financial compensation to be the de facto reason why I do or do not do something, and I'm not at that point yet, but that is becoming a bit more of the narrative, that I do have to be more inclined to say yes to things that are going to help me pay my bills more efficiently. It has been a tough slog to get here. I tell everyone, don't start out in podcasting to make money, because it's very difficult. And the things I'm making money doing now because of the podcast aren't. The podcast itself isn't even the moneymaker. It's everything else I'm able to do, from the partnerships I've made to the live events and the production ability that I've achieved in moving forward and building up the brand and the equipment technology we have.
If I could just add on to that briefly, one of the reasons my podcast is on a hiatus is exactly that. We were at carrying capacity, and something had to be put down in order to make the other things successful. And there were things that were clearly on an upward trajectory, and those were the choices to be made. But you don't have choices like that to be made if you don't say all those yeses in the beginning. And we will continue to say yes. And I'd just like to throw something out. When I was teaching, I had a quote from Goethe taped on the inside drawer of my desk, where I would have to look at it every day. And it's as true in my current life as it was in that one. So the quote is, a formula for happiness: a yes, a no, a straight line, a goal. I've always been really good at straight lines and goals. Jonah's taught me a tremendous amount about saying yes. The no is important too, right? You need to know which things to say no to. And that is a skill that we all have to learn too.
Well, I think if I can add also briefly, I think, even if something isn't going your way, right? So you say yes and it fails miserably or crashes and burns, right? It's not failure, it's course correction. So I'm not good at the straight lines. I'm like, well, let's curve this way, let's try this, I'm not very consistent that way because I like to change things up. I'm an agent of change, right? So it's, looking at that stuff, and I think basically, ShaunAnne made an amazing point of knowing what to say no to, and looking at your knowing your worth. I think, even in the entrepreneur world and my day job, I mean, you have to know what to say no to. You have to know your worth. I think that goes at any point of your career.
That's been one of the most challenging aspects of the whole entrepreneurial endeavor, is understanding what my worth is and being able to stand up for what my value is. Because sometimes you don't know. How do you know until it's been validated? You don't know if you're worth $5 or $500.
Have you guys considered product placement? So like my dad wrote a porno, they're sponsored by Manscaped or what, it kind of fits the thing. Is it tarps for your murder thing? Or, it's not a sellout, but are you looking for sponsors that fit murder lovers?
Well, it's if you listen to any of them, it's the HelloFresh and all that stuff. There's a Small Town Murder does a wine one. I'm like, oh, yes, absolutely. I wanna they should sponsor us. Yeah, that'll be great. I think, we are on our way to national sponsors. We're relatively close. I think we need to start building slide decks and sending those things out. But locally, I think it's anybody who supports us, in my opinion. I don't know. That's
Yeah, I like the
maybe I shouldn't
regional.
have answered this question.
No. I like the regional opportunities a little bit more than jumping in with the national brands. In the beginning of the Good Talk, we were Blue Apron and Audible, and we had a few of the national sponsors in the beginning, and it helped us get by. But right now, like Midwest Murder is fueled by Shots Crossroads. It's a truck stop. Truck stops are a very key aspect of the Midwest, and so we feel like it's a natural fit for me. Beyond that, I would only accept sponsorship from a brand or company that I would also be willing to support. So I wouldn't take money from just anyone or any BS thing. It's really, for me, I want to believe in it because our reads are live reads. I'm not going to read your commercial that you give me, and it's more of, it's a live read every time because it's something that I can passionately speak about to our listeners for 45 seconds to a minute. And if somebody is going to buy something based on my recommendation, I want it to be something I would also buy, frankly.
The mattress company yet?
No mattress company yet.
And in my long-winded answer that I didn't say anything, that was what I was trying to say. Is I wouldn't, I
Exactly.
didn't want.
I totally got that.
I should just let him talk most of the time. But I don't want to peddle something that I'm not going to try.
Right.
I would feel like a jerk. If I did that, right? It feels like a sellout kind of thing. Not that if anybody does that, they're not. But it's personally, I couldn't do that.
I just feel like there's a lot of tie-in with hardware store, murder.
I think it's a great,
so they
like an
almost
axe,
always go to
axe
the
manufacturer or
rope,
something
shovels,
like that.
whatever,
Wood
stuff
chippers.
like that. So I'm just curious if you actually look for those, not for murderers, but for like this sort of ties into the content a little bit of what we're doing.
Absolutely, yeah. There's an easy way to make an association for the podcast you're doing with a business that might benefit from that. Example, the football show that we did, Shields sponsor, and so things like that. So yeah, there's definitely some opportunity.
So you guys have tapped into a lot of previously untapped creative talent in the area. Are you constantly looking for more of that? It's obviously there. How do you continue to build your team and then foster people once they're in that situation? Sometimes it's hard to get North Dakotans to really believe that they have talent.
So my good
do.
friend Terry Efforts, she often says my only real skill is recognizing other people's talents. So evidently I've just got a nose for it, and I'm going to find them. Our door is open to creative opportunists. That's all I can really say. That's the extent of it. We certainly could use help writing Good Night Live. We want to grow that larger and bigger and better than it is. There are other things in the works that we hope to achieve in the years. I'd love to get one of our shows on Netflix. We're developing a Netflix pitch. We may or may not author a book at some point. So there are really cool things we're in the work, and I'm really the best of what I can say is, yeah, we're always looking for creative opportunists.
Okay, so we always have the same final question. I'm going to let Kate take it on, but I also want you guys to consider, would you rather be a shark or a bird?
Nice. So besides committing more Midwest murders for content, what can we, as the Bismarck Man and 1 Million Cups community, do to help you guys succeed as you go forward?
So we're based in Minot. You guys are here in Bismarck. You could check us out. Check out some of the content that we've made. We are some of our more recent Good Night Live shows. If you want to see what a Midwest late night comedy talk show looks like, go watch Good Night Live 3. Let us know what you think. There was a rap battle. We got some a new brand that we presented in there that's pretty remarkable. That's gotten a good response. That is entirely based on sort of Midwest ideals. That would be the best thing. Check us out. I know maybe a lot of you guys who are in Bismarck haven't heard of us or are not familiar with what it is that we do. So that would be step one. If you have an Apple iPhone, if you're on iTunes and you like Midwest Murder, the best way that we can grow our brand and get recognized in podcast charts is by people taking a minute to write a review on iTunes. That would be the biggest ways that I could ask you guys to help me.
Yeah, if you're a content creator, you're a writer, you're a performer, you're a producer, What we need is your eyes and ears. We don't sell ice cream cones or truck tires or those kinds of things. We sell entertainment, and so yeah, come please see our shows. Take the drive up to Minot. We come down here all the time. Challenge you to come up and see us, and plug in, listen to all of the wonderful stuff that the Good Talk produces.
Don't murder anybody, please. Like, I appreciate it, thank you, but really, please don't. There's a lot of content out there already, more than you even know. But also, I mean, in this week, my personal request is if you know somebody in the Bismarck or in the Dickinson area or Fergus Falls or Grand Forks, let them know we're coming to them, live, which is so exciting and definitely, we live and breathe, by an algorithm these days, right, with social media. And so when Jonah said to, take a quick minute and write a review and rate us, that's huge. That helps us stay in the weird little algorithm. So we appreciate that.
All right, Dawn, ShaunAnne, Jonah, here they are now. Let them entertain you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
What did you say, John Oliver? I think you're more of a Louis Theroux.
Correct answer is shark, by the way.
I was gonna go a small parakeet.
100% a bird.
They just seem so happy. Okay, if you would like to present, come up here someday. You can head to our little website up here, and we will bring you up. Next week we have Dr. Douglas Jensen of BSC's Polytechnic Mission. I don't know what that is, but we'll find out. All right, thank you so much for coming to 1 Million Cups. We will see you next time.